Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Becoming Boundless series. Today, I'm so excited that we have Kristin Kidgell online with us. She is a chiropractor with heart and is making her life boundless. She has so much energy. I can't wait to get just rolling with all the questions that I have for her. And she was so excited to come on board. And we're actually right after this, we're going to be doing an interview where she's interviewing me too. So I just want to tell you guys, like, this is what it's all about, is great collaborations, great women, real things, real talk. And that's how you become boundless. It is sharing the secrets that we think that we are keeping from the world, which is our talents and our beauty, and sharing it with other people, because we find out that we are connected on so many different levels. When I met Kristin, it was amazing. All of the things that we had in common, and our energy is like off the chart. So I'm going to try to balance it out a little bit by being a little bit more calm, because this girl, y'all, bouncing off the walls. She's already been working this morning, helping people. She has a service mindset. She's a mompreneur. Most importantly, she is setting her heart on fire by starting Real Life Women, which is, I'm going to let her talk about it. But basically what I know so far, because it's still in developing stages, is that she wants to inspire and encourage women just like you, just like me and herself, by giving interviews to the audience that's out there that wants to learn how to set their heart on fire and how to become amazing at what they're doing in their own life, whether it's a basic day or whether it's becoming boundless on the level that they've never even known before. So you can see now why I wanted her to talk with you guys this morning. I will be letting people in the room as they come, because some people said they were going to be late today. So just keep in mind, if you hear the little doorbell ding, that we're going to be letting in more folks. Kristin, I'm so excited. I want you, if you could, just tell us a little bit about what you're obsessed with right now. Like, let's go.
Wow. I'm obsessed about a lot of things. I'm obsessed about people showing up authentic. I'm obsessed about helping people become just greater than what they are. And I think over 20 years of practice, the majority of my practice happens to be female. In retrospect, you look back and you're like, yeah, okay, that's what it is. And then some of them are young, 18, 20, and then just asking the right questions of getting them to think, because I've just had amazing mentors that have made me really sit back and think and have believed in me. And then that's sometimes, the challenge. I mean, when your parents believe in you, that's huge. Like, I definitely have always had that. I was raised by a mother that says, you're a woman, you can do anything you want. Right. So not every woman gets that. And I think when you're young, you just assume that everybody hears the same thing you hear, and you don't. And then the other thing is, like you said, with the Real Life Women, that took me a couple years to finally step forward. Actually, it was the break and being bored for that whole 2 weeks in COVID, because I went right back to work, where they're like, you can't go anywhere, you must stay home. And I'm like, oh, I'm so bored. And then I know. So I use that opportunity to start all these things that I've always been passionate about, which is, it's been set on my heart, and it was starting this, how do we get more people to share what they know about happiness or health or wealth? And so
Or all of it.
That's the theme of the whole channel, is just whoever walks in my life, if they have a passion to help other people, especially women, and that's their background, and it's the health or the wealth or the happiness or whatever, I want to interview you. And yeah, so I just don't really, I don't really know where it's going, but I'm stepping into it because it's just really important. As far as the wealth part, it's the multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
And
I want to dive deeper a little bit later into that, because I think that is really important, is that I don't even realize how many people, like you said, we think that because we know something, everybody knows it. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of why the coaching realm has taken off, is because we're realizing now that many people don't know the same things. And when you talk about multiple streams of income, that's something that really I just learned about in the last couple of years. And so I do want to share that. I want to dive deeply into exactly what you're doing with real life women. And I want to first just kind of comment on when you said that having someone who believes in you, it makes all the difference in the world. And that is exactly why I started Global Girl, because I had people outside of my family and friends that believed in me. And they pulled me up and they showed me how to look to experiences that I'd never known before and how to step into them without knowing what the outcome was going to be. And so many times being pulled up like that, I'm realizing that my gift is someone asked me, Shannon, how do you do all the things that you do? And I thought about it the other day. And the answer that I had was I have the ability to see past the first couple of actions. And I have that because good mentors and good people in my life told me what was possible for me. They held a vision or space for me to grow into because they could see my potential. And so that's what you and I are doing. That's what all of us are doing that are in these realms where we're trying to collaborate and we're trying to be involved with other people and share those experiences, is that we really want to make sure that we are able to kind of harness a space and hold that for women that haven't yet gotten there. And the ones who are there now and are going through it, we want to be sharing those stories in real time because it's real life. And that's why I love the title and the brand of Real Life Women, because we are real life. Like, here we are. So tell me about the health side of that just shortly, and then we'll dive deeper into that too.
Oh, wow. There's so many aspects of that. So this, so you talked about seeing the steps and seeing steps ahead. Mm-hmm. So what I've noticed in my life and in my brain is I see here's the big picture of like where it could be. And then I have to work backwards. And so with the health side, and like you said in the beginning, it's something that's new and growing, is okay. I have to first admit that I know enough to take on that part. I have to have that look in the mirror and say, you've got this. Mm-hmm. Instead of, you don't have to lean on all these people to talk about health. So I've made a plan. I've started writing it. Unlike you, I sometimes have to put it all down and then step in. You just go like, I'm in. You just walk through the door.
I do that.
So it's inspiring. That's one of the things I love about you is you just like, okay, listen, we're just going to do this. And we're just going to go. And I'm like, okay, I really just need to be better at that. But I really love biohacking, which in my mind, my definition of that is, what do I do today to be healthier tomorrow? So in my practice, what I've seen is, unfortunately, we are where we are today from the choices we made last year or the year before or the year before that. So I like to say, okay, well, what are you doing today? Because it's going to affect you a month, a year. And so it doesn't matter your age, like right now, you can change it. And so I like to find, purchase, use, take the supplements, the machinery, and the next step now is going to be shooting little videos and maybe speaking to the people that have developed it and bringing that to the channel as far as the health part is, what can this help this person do? And so there's a lot of interesting like FDA rules. And so I've been having to speak to, especially about supplements. There's definitely things that affect my ability with my license to talk about. And then when it's on social media, if it doesn't pass, they can take it off. But I'm very excited about that part for sure.
And I think that one thing that inspires me too is I'm realizing, this is so interesting that I feel like I just found this out like a week ago. I don't know why. It seems like it's been there forever, but I just kind of, how you hear things, but you really don't understand what they mean until you've experienced something that shows you. Okay. And I'm not sure how I didn't know that health and wealth went together. And it seems like you can't have one without the other. If you don't have a healthy mind, there's no way to have wealth. They're
you can't make the right decision.
That's you inherited it. I mean, like there is that, you know, like if it was handed down, but you won't hang on to it and you won't enjoy it, and then you won't actually be able to perpetuate it. So to me, when you started, you know, talking about health and wealth and happiness, they all do go together. And I think that it's not necessarily a balance, but it's almost like a dance. And I think that you've really married all those things together. The way that you talk about how it's important for women to recognize the spirit in each other. And, you know, like you're pulling in someone with scientific information and you're pulling in someone with heart. And that's really what appealed to me when I talked to you, is that you really do know what it takes to have all these things. And you might not believe it, but you are doing it. I mean, like even this interview, you were like, so what are we doing again? And you just did it. You didn't like, I'm like, there's not really like an interview questionnaire or anything like that. And you showed up. There's so many women and men that would just be like, well, when you get that, let me know. And they would have this hardcore stance of like, well, you're not prepared, so I'm not coming. But it's not that I'm not prepared. It's that I want the authentic, like you said, I want the authentic Kristin. And I want you to be able to relate to the audience that we have here in Becoming Boundless. I know you've already said so many things. I know there's 3 people on this call, and you've actually said something for each one of them already, because I know them personally. So I think that it's really so nice of you to be extravagant in your thought process and let us in on how you're thinking, because I don't think that, you know, every day we wake up fearful. I think every one of us are scared to death when we wake up in the morning. We're like, how are we going to do today what we did yesterday? And what if something else new happens? And how will I know to make the right decision? And how will I know what's right for my life? And how do I know what's right for my kids or for my parents? Or for, you know, like we take it on ourselves to know everything. Like we're supposed to have it all figured out. And none of us do. Not one single person has it figured out. But together, collectively, we do. And so I really love how you're going to share all those things in you keep calling it a channel. So is it going to be on YouTube? Do we know a Facebook channel? Like what are you thinking about that? Like, what are some of the options?
I created everything in one day. I created the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, and the Instagram page. And so
wow,
they're out there. I'll have to send you links to all of that. But yeah. I really like, this is one of those stepping stones, and, you know, getting the chance to interview you after this one is putting more data out there. So I always said, if I didn't enjoy doing it, I would stop it. But because it's, I always say that you have too much on your plate. Well, I don't have a plate, I have a platter, and I'm really good at filling it.
Mind blowing right there. It's a platter.
And it's one of those section platters where like the nuts are mixing with the pickles, you know, it's this big like charcuterie thing. But yeah, so keeping that in front of me and making it happen. I'm like, ooh, you know, if you don't like that, you know, just take it off of there. But I'm really passionate about it. And then I get to meet amazing people like you who we're on the same page. We're just trying to make a difference. And at the same time, you've been so gracious, and, you know, you've done more of this, you're a little bit more comfortable with it. And you're just kind of going, okay, well, come with me. And I'm like, I'm totally coming with you. I'm going to go wherever you want to go. Like, just tell me. So, you know, I'm very grateful and appreciative for this opportunity, for sure. And where it goes, you just never know.
That's exactly what I love. I love to not know. I think that Svetlana, I think she said this like 2 months ago, and it just resonated with me so much. She said, Shannon, one of my favorite quotes is, the unknown has never let me down. And I was like, I just get chills thinking about that statement, because it's true. Like, that's where dreams are born. Because if we know it, then we have expectations. And if we have expectations, we have parameters and we have boundaries and we have all these things that are logical and practical that we try to apply to everything. But if we don't know, how can we have expectations? We're like, that's where worry and fear comes from. But if we use that for energy, that's where the volume of action comes from. And that's what I love about you, is like, you're like, I don't know, I'm going to do it. And then not only are you doing it, you're like, oh, I started a Facebook page, YouTube channel, and something else on the same day. I'm like, you're doing all the things that you say that I'm doing that you're not doing, but you're actually doing it. So give yourself some credit. And, you know, like that's what's encouraging. And I know that for the women that are here today and for the ones that are going to watch the replay, I do want to know more about like the in-depth thought process behind some of the decisions that you've made. So one thing is that you made a decision to kind of work a little bit less, I believe, and to pour your heart into whatever is next for you. And you're not even really sure what that is. You just kind of have some ideas. So tell me about and tell us about like, what does that look like to say, you know what, I have the successful practice. I could keep going and make maybe multiple locations or grow it or scale it or do whatever, but I'm going to choose to not look at that one stream of income, right? So let's revisit that.
Okay.
I'm going to start to build multiple streams of income. And when you think about that, what does that actually mean? So for those of us who don't know what multiple streams of income are, I think some people who know me know that I have those because maybe I have e-courses and I have a couple of businesses and I have a foundation. But for someone who has been, you're a doctor, you're a chiropractor, you have a very practical practice. How do you go from that mindset to being a full-fledged entrepreneur and starting multiple streams of income, and what do they look like?
I want to start by saying something that you brought up earlier about the unknown, waking up every day. Nobody always has it all together. A couple things, you know, Svetlana was amazing, but before I had met her, I knew I needed to go to the next level. And so I still today, I wake up every morning going, you have to listen to you have to put the earplugs in, and then you just have to they always say surround yourself with your top 5 people. It's definitely more than 5, but what are you also listening to or looking at in social media? So I just wanted to touch on that really quick, because every morning I wake up and there's something in my ears that's either uplifting or just getting my mindset right. Gratitude journal, huge. So I just wanted to bring that up because I do fight those demons every single day. Like, whew, okay.
Well, before we move on, can you tell us what some of those inspirational things are for you? Is there certain people that you listen to or a certain Instagram handle that you watch?
So I have a love-hate with social media. I know how important it is. It's so, and so there's many of us that, you know, totally believe that there's a really good, important side of it. But then I struggle getting all that information out. And then now I think I'm at that stage where I need to probably hire help to make sure all these messages that I want to get out. Okay. So getting the opportunity to meet Brittany Turner, follow her, follow you, follow Svetlana, Jeremy Newsom, who's been in my life for over 5 years. That dude right there, if you guys are not following him on every level, he's one of the I got to give him major kudos all the time for like, that dude believes in me. Like brother, sister, like, whew, he knows how I feel about him. Amazing dude. And then just anything, travel. I'll watch and kind of like, oh yeah, I want to go there. Cause that just feeds that passion of me wanting to travel. Yeah. And so I think the more you're kind of putting that in your brain, the better. But as far as listening in my ears, so a lot of channels that are just putting out positivity, I'm forgetting them because I've subscribed to so many. I just hit my subscription and they all come up. But Abraham Hicks, anything that's pretty much comes out by Esther Hicks, and then I like
Tiny Buddha. So little things like that, Spiritual Gangster, like all of these ones that Abraham Hicks, Mel Robbins, like there's so many,
right?
So many, yeah.
Right.
So I didn't want to get off track. I just thought if you had them off the top of your head, you could roll.
Well, there's a couple channels. There's something brothers, but they just do a huge where it's like a little piece of all the speakers.
Yeah, like little clippets. We'll post that in Becoming Boundless then. So when we get done with this, we'll do a little list and we'll share those with everybody in the Becoming Boundless Facebook group.
Yep. And Audible books just to break away from the motivational stuff and just kind of go into maybe just like something that's just off topic. And so I'll like my Audible feed is library is ridiculous and I'll bounce around them.
Awesome.
Except Matthew McConaughey. I binged that one. And I listen to stuff time and a half. I speed up everything. So I burn through stuff.
Okay. Well, that's a good tip because I don't know. I'm a very fast talker and a fast listener. So I like the fact that we can choose the speed and rate at which we listen to things. Ooh. I want to get you back on track talking about streams of revenue and the practical mindset of how do you go from, being in a very practical space to the unknown. How do you even do that?
Fear. So I got injured. I was in a mild to moderate car accident where I just got hit at a weird angle, and it took some pre-existing condition that I didn't have any films or MRIs or anything, but it took some stuff that I had totally under control. And I'm like, oh yeah, well, I've just played sports and I've pushed my body and I've snow skied and I've run into trees. Of course you're going to have some, different traumas. But I couldn't work. I literally was crying by lunchtime. Like I was in trouble. And then I started realizing at that point, my mother was my office manager. So not only am I supporting me and my lifestyle, I'm supporting my mother and all of her bills and all of that stuff. And I was starting to freak out. I was like, I only make an income when I am bending over and pushing and doing my job. My job is really physical. And then I started thinking, and that's how I got into trading, because it wasn't new information for me. It was, I need to go in this direction. And so that's how that went. And then I started learning more about what I do know, and I can create an e-course, and I've been wanting to write this book, and you name it. I'm looking into being project managers for real estate, and
yes.
I don't know where a lot of things lead, but I'm willing to step forward and into things because, like you said, it's the connections. You don't even realize it. You make these connections by just moving in that direction that feels right.
That is the key, is being in the flow and picking up on that space of like, this feels right. And no matter what my mind is telling me to keep me safe, I'm going to go with what my gut, my instinct, my intuition is telling me. And that's the thing that's led me to all of the adventures that I've had, is to not listen to what other people tell me and to pursue what my body and my mind and my spirit know, and to let my own beacon, let me be finding the source of joy and happiness through what I know for myself to be true. And that is a very hard thing. And I think that people label it courage. And so we're very courageous women by showing up, and we're really even more courageous and brave to take action. And so when you mentioned trading, and so there are people that are going to be on this call that don't know what that means. So I would like for you to just kind of tell what being a trader is, and it's not what you think it is.
So trading that's just a big umbrella, and there's so many different types of trading underneath that just hang down. And so most people know of day trading, and that's when you want to probably make a job out of day trading. And then there is swing trading. So day trading is where you're in and out same day. Take trade, you're getting out by the end of the day.
What she's talking about is, we're talking about the stock market.
Yes.
So I wanted you to go back to the basic level of like trading. Like, some people don't know that the stock market is actually accessible where they are in life. So if you have $10 and you have internet, you can and a bank account, you can actually be trading on the stock market. So I wanted you to go back, like way back. So that's just one of those things you thought like everybody knows, right? But they don't. So I think the people on this call right now do, but there'll be people watching the replay that have no idea that right now they can start trading on the stock market with coaching and help and make money day trading, swing trading, or whatever else you were about to say on the last part, right? So continue on.
Well, and then long-term investing.
Long-term investing.
Which is what most people think of.
Yeah.
But what a lot of people don't know, if you have a little bit, you can do long-term investing and maybe swing trading with partials. So there's ways like M1 Finance is a really cool company where you can go in and you can make your own selections of companies that you like in your pie, and you can just put in $100. But that $100 gets split and you decide on the percentages, like maybe you're heavy on Tesla and Square, and then and then so you get to watch that pie, and then you can have money automated over, and it's just small amounts. So it's like a savings account that you attach to it.
Interactive. It's like interactive savings. Like you can play with your money.
Right. And technology is allowing it to be so accessible and so amazing. And so one of these things is I want to teach so much of this to my children, and they're starting to listen. Late teens, early 20s. And it's important because I didn't learn it until I was in the crisis. And I was in my 40s, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to teach this to myself. And that's what I did. Yeah. So it's been a while. And I do apologize for jumping in. You're right. You need
to go backwards. Okay. That's what I'm here for. That's great. And so Kara says, I just got Robinhood this year and I have $7,000 invested in just a few months. And then she said, I love this interview. Also, Lee was commenting on how she listens to audiobooks. I know that Lee, she's all big on science. I can't wait to have her on this interview and hear about what this new thing is that she's got going on. So that's going to be super interesting too, Lee. But she says she listens at 1.7 speed. So she even has it down exactly to what she listens to. I love that. Wow. So I want to talk about like, okay, one of the biggest things that people have trouble becoming boundless when their heart's set on fire is like, well, I don't have the time. I can't like do trading and have a chiropractor business and, have time with my children and also travel and all these things. So my question is, how do you find time for your obsessions?
We have to eliminate the limiting beliefs. Or not necessarily eliminating them, just stepping on them and then keep pushing them out.
So what is a limiting belief to you?
That you don't have time, that you can't make it happen, that you can't go in through the steps. So I was working full time and I wanted to day trade in the morning. So I very methodically created a window of time in my appointment book where I said, okay, how many patients are usually in that hour and a half to 2 hours? So I said, well, I'll come in early, I'll work through lunch, I'll stay late. So I didn't eliminate the time, I just moved the time.
That's right.
And it was just being surrounded by the right people that were already doing it. I hadn't invented the wheel on anything.
Yes. And I love that because that's what I learned that from Wendy Yates. And she said, Shannon, all you do is you wake up on Monday morning, instead of hitting snooze, you actually get up and log in to your Fidelity account. I'm like, that's interesting. You mean I don't hit snooze? I just like actually get up. So on Monday mornings, now I know what time the stock market opens. I have time to assess what it is that I'm doing. And then I'm actually for the first time putting a plan into action to be a trader. And I used to be an investor. An investor was very, very stressful for me because I felt like I had no control and my money was just disappearing. And I'm like, well, that's the stock market just eating all of my money. And that was a limiting belief because I didn't understand. I wasn't using it the way it was supposed to be. And I wasn't educating myself. And I didn't go to anyone who knew. I was asking people who were also fearful of the stock market for advice. And I'll tell you, I'm going to share, I haven't built the courage up to share it yet, but there is a video of me in Honduras when I think that I have $35,000 in Bitcoin and find out that I don't because of an investment that I made a couple of years ago and didn't watch it and didn't do what I was supposed to, but I acted out of fear. It's a very vulnerable video because in the same moment I realized that I have it and then that I don't. And I watched that over and over, and I'm really proud of myself for experiencing the full emotional scale of grief and loss and happiness and joy all in the same moment, and walking away from that going, I know the moment that I made that mistake. And I very rarely say that I make mistakes, but I did make this one. And I saw myself telling everyone at the table where I was sitting, that I was actually creating stories, lies in my head, and they were coming out of my mouth to cope with the situation. And I watched myself do it because someone had recorded it thinking that I had that money. And I learned so much about myself and the way that we operate for trauma in that one moment, that it changed my life forever. And I began to be a trader and have control and know what was going on with my money at that point. So I was like, I'm never going to trust someone else who's fearful of something again, ever. I will only trust myself to know whether to listen to that person or not. Right. So I think that it's really cool. And I really want to commend you for the courage to not only assess your life situation and say, hey, I can't depend on this income forever. I'm supporting people. And also to jump into something that is not known for women to be a part of, is to be a trader on the stock market. Like that, there's no movie in the 80s or 90s about women trading in the stock market, period. Right. So that was all men, all of a certain, kind. And you're basically being a trailblazer in that area, and you're showing people that it's okay, it's normal, and you can do it on the side. Like, this is not your full-time jam yet. May it never be, but you're doing that. And then tell me how you're still traveling, and then you're also networking in these larger groups. Like, where is the time on your calendar? First of all, my first question is, where is the time on your calendar for trading? What day and time is it that you do that specifically?
Okay, before I answer that, I want to make sure that everyone understands that when I decided to get into the stock market and trading, that I told myself I was going to treat it like a part-time job to study, like a part-time degree.
Okay.
So it was night school and weekends. So that's where I did a lot of my studying, and I was super uber committed to that.
Okay.
And they're right, there was not very many women, and there's a lot more now.
Yes.
So the question was, where do I put the time to trade?
Yeah. Specifically, you said you made time morning, you shifted things around. Because you are trading, what is the best time of day for you and maybe for others to trade? Is it Monday morning? Is it Wednesday afternoon? Is it both? Just give us an idea of what that looks like.
So if you're day trading, most day traders will trade in the first few hours of the market open. So that market open is 9:30 Eastern.
And that's every day.
They like to be done around lunch, in theory. Does it go through the rest of the day for some people? 100%.
Okay.
So swing trading is if you're going to go into a position, you're going to hold it for a few days, few weeks, few months. Those people that are fully committed to that and not the day trading will actually just have full-time jobs, and they'll make their decisions for 15, 20 minutes a night or every other day or something like that. They're not nearly as, I don't like using the word addictive, but when you get used to
attentive be the right word.
Extremely attentive to where your money is in the stock market and watching charts and knowing how to do that. I'll be happy to help anybody with that. That's one of my things I really love doing, is helping people learn how to read charts and do the software. But the swing trading doesn't necessarily have to be during the day, and you can place your orders the night before in your company, in your platform, your brokerage. You can put it in, and then it'll just make the decisions for you in the next day.
And I just heard that you can automate that. Like, you can have, okay, so now you can be a trader, you can automate that. You've got your business, when you're supposed to be there and what free time you have. You're going to the Dolly Museum this afternoon, so you're taking off the afternoon. So you are setting up your lifestyle as a free lifestyle. And because you are having the ability to see the future, that you need more streams of income. So are there other streams of income that you're working on as well?
Yes. Well, I finished that book and I put that on my website, but that was really out of a necessity for watching. It's The Truth About CBD Oil.
Okay.
Because when CBD oil, before it hit the mainstream, I was already looking into it because my mother had gotten hurt, and I needed to find as many things as possible to help her recover. And that just happened. I was following somebody and they had mentioned it. And then I had to learn it myself and then find the right companies. So I got into CBD oil and teaching about that. So that's kind of actually another source of income because I'm affiliated with a company that I thoroughly believe in and follow. And only because I had to do the research to write the book. And then,
so yeah, you're building an empire. You are learning and transferring knowledge. So now you have a book for sale. That's a stream of income. And you have the knowledge base where you can start the e-course that you mentioned. You can do e-courses for anything basically that you want. It could be trading. It could be, any actual opportunity where you have an expert opinion in the area, you can do an e-course for. So you've got that. And so this is like 5 streams so far that you've mentioned, I think.
Yeah, the e-course isn't fully, the videos have been shot, they haven't been edited, but I did an entire course about kinesiotaping, and I wanted to call it kinesiotaping for dummies, but then I thought that would be offensive. So I haven't quite decided on the title, but kinesiotaping is such a big thing, and I want people to be able to do it either like on themselves or on their friends, so that's going to go up.
So are you also selling that tape? Are you an affiliate if you're doing those videos, you definitely need a source for that. So that's what I do.
You're right.
At the dot.
This course is brought to you by. Okay. So listen, I just wrote that down. That's really important. So what else? I have other ideas. During COVID, I decided to open a Teespring account, and I had always talked about a saying that I wanted to put on bumper stickers and coffee mugs and t-shirts. And it basically says, I grew up once, I just didn't like it. I am the only person that have purchased all of like 4 or 5 of my shirts. Every time I wear that shirt, someone goes, I love your shirt. And I don't have a business card to hand them, but I really need to do that.
Yeah. Okay. So Jennifer is on right now, and she has so many greeting cards and t-shirt ideas and mugs. She started putting those into action too, and she's selling them. She made, like money this past week on doing that. So you have to act on that. Like,
I know I need to just,
if you don't, someone else is going to do it. Promise you. And now you put it out there. So it's free game.
Listen, I'm not the only person that's ever said that.
Yeah.
Might be one of the people that has put it on a shirt.
So Kara says, Kristin, I would love to connect with you, would love to interview with you. I am taking my board exam for my LMT in August. And she also says, I am getting into taping as modality. So happy that I'm here for this interview. So Kara, do you want to come on and ask Kristin anything? You guys, it's also free game. If you guys want to unmute yourselves and ask questions, Kristin is here to help, and I'm just kind of leading. So please feel free to speak up. And the people who are watching the replay are going to super enjoy hearing from you.
Hi, Kristin. I'm Kara.
Hi.
I love this interview. I'm so glad that I this morning, Shannon. Everything that Kristin is saying has just resonated with me. That's why I went to school to be an LMT, because I really wanted to be moving, and I didn't want to be in a corporate office where I felt like I was chained to a desk. And I wanted to be helping people and staying fit and active. And I know for women, as you get older, it's harder to stay fit and to care for yourself and to have that muscle. And just women being able to care for themselves throughout life is really one of my passions. And so that is why I went into the field of health and wellness and changed everything that I've been doing for the last, 10 to 15 years of my life, because I realized that what I was doing wasn't working on the lines of what you're doing, which is helping people feel well, helping them with their personal health and well-being, helping them with muscle imbalance, but also giving people techniques that they can take home that you don't have to pay someone else to do for you necessarily, things that you can do for yourself, like oil cleansing and just taking care of your skin and taking care of the food that you're eating, what's in your diet. All of those things, are obviously integral to chiropractic, but also to the work I do. So I just think everything you're doing is absolutely amazing. Even the multiple streams of revenue for women, like, all of this just resonated with me and spoke to me on like a deep personal level. All of the things that you're saying that you want to do for others are all things I want to be doing. All the different venues that you're working in, even when you guys are talking about Robinhood, like these are all things that you are doing and that I've also been doing within the last year. Wow. I was scared to put my money in Robinhood. I was scared to just put my money out there, and I was going to trust someone else, Shannon. And you know what? I couldn't do it. I was like, you know what? If I'm going to trust somebody, I'm going to trust me. because I know what I like to buy. I know what I think are good products, and those are the products and companies I'm going to invest my money in, the things that I personally believe in.
Build that empire. Yes, girl.
Yes, this is a great interview, though. I'm so glad I was here for this.
Oh, thank you.
Us too. Thank you, Kara. Jada just popped in. Jada, we were actually in Lisa's great interview also. Does anybody else have any comments for Kristin or questions about anything, or even what you're doing right now that resonates with what we've been talking about? Eula?
Hey ladies, I am in the middle of getting kids ready for school. I'm on the West Coast here. So, and I'm so sorry, I'm super tardy, but I wanted to jump in. I saw that post and I was just like, maybe there's something I'll catch. So thank you for having me today.
Absolutely, Jada. Good to have you here.
Nice meeting you. This is super fun.
This is fun. I'm super excited. Okay, so these are some of the hard questions. Like, we kind of talked about some of the things being mindset on, what keeps you from doing things. We talked about getting out of bed and having fear and how you have to motivate yourself and be around other people who are doing great things. And I know you're like I am. If I can see somebody else do something, even if they're far away or they're a big celebrity or whatever it is, I totally am like, I can do that. Like, if it's been done, I know I can do it. But the thing is that we take action and we hit roadblocks. Right? So not everything goes the way that we want it to go. Most things don't, actually. I don't even know if there's one thing I can think of that went exactly the way that I thought it was going to go. Like, usually it's way better or way worse, but it's never like what I thought it was going to be, which is like average.
Isn't there a saying that says, oh man, it's something about like, oh, I'm going to screw it up. It's about like telling God your plan.
I don't know it.
Oh, it's just like, he laughs. He's like, yeah, go ahead and tell me your plan.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. This will be, or like Jennifer always says, underestimate me. This will be fun.
Oh, I like that. That one needs to be on my mirror and lipstick.
Yeah.
That is really good. I really like that one.
So tell me about the things that, or even just one thing that like you thought was going to go a certain way and it turned out miserable. And what did you do to overcome the fear from having that happen again and keeping you frozen? So many people, they get told no, or something doesn't happen the way that they think it will. And it gives them a great excuse for a limiting belief to shut themselves down and say, well, I knew it was going to happen that way, so I shouldn't even try. What are some of the things, or one thing that's happened to you that you were like, I'm not letting this affect me, I'm going to keep going? Is there anything that you can think of?
Yeah, I actually did an interview and I talked about this in detail with Jeremy with Real Life Trading. He interviewed me and we went into this because, it's the stock market and we were talking about trading. Yeah. But in 08 and 09, I pretty much lost everything. I went from 6 figures to pretty much nothing. And there were definitely some choices that I made to get myself in that position. Unfortunately, I just didn't know better. I didn't have mentors telling me anything different. It was just choices that had led to multiple homes, multiple mortgages. And then I moved and then I got a new business bank loan and I started a brand new practice. And it was just like, if it could have been any deeper and bigger, it'd be interesting. But rebounding out of that is mindset and stepping forward. That's it. So when you go, and then you have that vision of, well, I've been there before. I know what it takes to get back to that. I can be that person again. So you're hard on yourself, you hit that rock bottom, you look in the mirror and you're like, okay, well, here's my choice. Do I stay this person who I'm really not? I'm not really liking this person. I really like that other person. And then you just start making different choices and look where I am now. I mean, it's all these years later. So totally different.
Thank you for sharing that vulnerability, because that resonated with me so much. I've been through some really, for my age, I've lived like 60 lifetimes of heartache and pain and trauma. Mm-hmm. One thing that I heard, and Brittany Turner was the one who said it, and freed me. It set me free when I heard her say this. She said, you can only lose everything once. And I was like, oh my God, I've already lost everything once. That means it's not going to happen again. And like, it may or may not be true. I don't know, but I'm going to believe it. Right. Because to me, it was like, I was on track to be a millionaire at one point and I lost everything. I lost, I thought a beautiful marriage. I lost my job. I lost my home. I lost every single thing from one person's decision. So that's what I used to say. Now I take full responsibility for all the things that led up to that one person's decision. Right. So I think about that and I think, if I've already lost it, then what do I have to lose now? I have time, and every minute I can make intentional and I can really live my heart's desire, or I can choose to hit snooze. Sometimes I need snooze. The extra 9 minutes will make me amazing, right after that. But
girl, I'm a snooze. I'll admit it. That's probably not going to change.
But I love the fact that if you think about how much loss we've had, that's actually what perpetuates fear. But if you think about it, it's almost like we've gotten it out of the way. We've had so much loss, we've gotten it out of the way. And now we can decide if we're going to let that grab onto our ankle and chain us to the wall, or we're going to cut it and say, great, that's out of the way. Now let's become boundless. Let's move forward. Let's be real life women. Right? Let's do this.
Well, your past doesn't have to define you.
That's it.
And if you're going to keep looking back, that's where depression comes from.
That's right. And so use that experience for the future.
Right. And then if you get wrapped up too much in the future, right, then you're starting to have that anxiety. Mm-hmm. So if you can see and feel that within you, then you can step back and go, okay, reassess the mental pattern here and reset. Oh, Dr. Joe Dispenza, that's another one. We definitely need to talk about him. And just side note of who else I listen to. He's doing amazing research around what thought and meditation do. So I love
that. So I'm going to ask you to prepare a list of all your favorite things, and we're going to post that in Becoming Boundless, along with your book and any other things that you are advertising that you have for coaching or whatever that will be. And Jennifer, of course, she always has the best quotes and she knows all the things. And she says, God laughs while man plans. Or while woman plans.
Thank you for your help, Jennifer.
So is there anything else, you guys, like, are there any other questions? Kara, I know you're super in tune and tuned in with the vibe that Kristin is sharing right now. Jennifer, I haven't heard from you. Lee, are there any other questions? Because I have more for Kristin. I can always keep asking questions. So, but I want to make sure you guys are having a voice and can ask what you might want to, or if you know someone, a friend who you might share this video with, and you know a question they might ask, please come forward and ask for them so that when they watch the replay, they can hear Kristin's answer. We'll just give that a second. Okay.
I'm so glad I jumped in when I did.
Hey, Jada. Hey.
I was just saying, I'm so glad I jumped in when I did, because I was like, even just that part about you can only lose everything once that Brittany said, I'm like, wait, what? Again, I don't know if that's true, but it propels me. I love that.
I love it too. I think that it's like sets us free, and we talk about so many different things. And I know, Kristin, I can tell by the way you talk that the actions that you're taking are building your self-worth and your self-esteem back. And that's the thing, I think, that it takes such a massive undertaking every single day, every minute of every day. Our self-esteem is under attack. And it is in the way someone looks at us. It's all the stories that we've built for ourselves. No one's actually saying some of the, well, sometimes there are people saying it to us and we have to get away from those people, but sometimes it's self-talk, and we read into a glance, or we read into body gestures, or our intuition is telling us something is not quite right, but we don't really know what that means sometimes. And I think that listening to you building your life and designing your life in vivid color is just such it's a beautiful thing to hear about, because you're going to inspire, and you are inspiring people right now and have in the past. but taking it to another level and really getting it out there on the social channels, even though you don't like them. Like, same thing for me. I did hire someone who is doing a fabulous job, and thank goodness that she's able to let me be myself and capture that to share. So I really want to talk just for a second about self-esteem and what a toll it takes on our self-worth. And, just talking about Brittany, giving her, big kudos is like some of the things that she is given to say. Like, I won't even say that she takes credit for those, because I don't think she does, but she'll be in a conversation and she just gets given some information. And one thing that I realized while talking with her is that my self-worth was validated while I was having a conversation with her. And I couldn't believe that it was a moment. I thought that self-worth came of a lifetime of building it up, but it just takes one thing to tear it down. And so I started thinking about self-worth and self-esteem. And like, self-esteem are the many moments throughout the day, and self-worth is like the body that we live in. And so it is really up to us as our own personal keeper of our soul and our spirit to constantly reinforce our self-esteem and to protect it like a child, right? Like you would any child you would nurture, and to say anything that's going to come into my life that will affect my self-esteem negatively has to go. Period. It could be an item in my house. It could be an interaction at the coffee shop that I go to every day that I don't like a certain person, or they make me feel good, or it could be a friendship. It could be anything, but that you need to protect those moments that you're putting in for your self-esteem, and to replace those with things that build. And when we talk about the building blocks of self-esteem, it comes from finding happiness or joy in a moment. It comes from health. When your body feels good, our soul feels good, our self-esteem is better. We even think we look better if we work out once. Just that moment of working out can make you feel joyful about who you are. I look completely different. If I work out for 45 minutes, I'm like, I lost 10 pounds. I feel great. And I'm going to wear the new dress and all the things. I don't know what that's about, but I'm going back.
Right.
And about our wealth, when our finances are somehow, we have put validation of our worth on our bank account. And so I don't know how to overcome all of that, but I can tell you by making my bank account bigger, it sure does help. So building wealth, taking care of your health, realizing happy moments is building our self-esteem and our self-worth. And when we feel like we're worth something, that means we feel like we have more to share. And when we share, we build communities, it causes a ripple effect, and we change the world. So Kristin, I'm so happy that you shared all of those things that are building your self-esteem, and that you're sharing those already with the world. And I can't wait to hear more from you. And I hope you'll come back and do an interview sometime with us.
Anytime. Thank you for having me.
I love it.
And there's a reason why I labeled it happiness, health, and wealth in that order.
Tell me.
Because without having the daily seeking of happiness, what makes you truly happy, self-care isn't selfish. And looking in the mirror and going, well, what am I going to do today that is going to create that joy in me, allows you to go into those other realms. Because if you're miserable and you have all this negativity, and maybe somebody's, that person needs to be removed from your life, then you're not going to have health. And like you said in the very beginning, without those things, how could you possibly have the wealth? And those things are very important for women. I have found those three categories. And the wealth part is the part I think generations ahead of us did not have that education.
Yeah.
And that's one. And so I feel like in my generation and those three things need to be very, very important.
They do. Thank you for taking the charge on that. I can't wait to subscribe you, Bill.
Oh man, well,
okay.
Having you in the tribe is just amazing. Air hug.
So we have some comments. Jada says, heck yeah. Lee says, what is Kristin's IG? So we're going to post that in the Becoming Boundless Facebook group, Lee, along with any links that she's mentioned. And Lee wants to connect with Kristin after. This is so inspiring. So you have just already touched hearts this morning.
Yeah.
And I just appreciate you so much sharing, the vulnerability of your life and the things that you're doing. And I'm just so happy to keep supporting you. So whatever I can do, please let me know.
Girl, back at you.
Ladies, make sure to invite people to our Becoming Boundless Facebook group. It is free. And then there's things like this. So we want to build this tribe and help any way we can. These are all free interviews. They will not be for sale. So we're going to just try to share this information with as many people as possible. So invite your friends, and we'll see you soon next Thursday for another interview.
Yay. Awesome. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.